blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's fine.
Let me swap round my to me good ear. Like a 90-year-old lady.
Oh, dear. Have you got anything funny to say before the opening music starts?
No, I do enjoy a little funny anecdotes at the beginning. They do make me laugh.
Thank you. Well, this is this episode, so I guess there we go.
Have we got anything funny to say? There you go.
Hi there, and welcome back to the Marvelless podcast, your superhero movie detoxing podcast, where we take the entirety of the MCU and put it against the entirety of the rest of cinema and decide which is better. I am your co-host, Josh.
I'm your other co-host, Lauren.
How are you doing today, Lauren?
I'm super, actually. Thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm awful. We swapped this week.
Oh.
Disasters at home. My comic book shelf collapsed under the weight of itself.
I think that's a sign you've got too many comic books there.
Yeah. Probably so. So we're back for another. I've lost it. What am I talking? What am I saying?
We're in episode 3.
Yeah, here we are, episode 3 of this. I assume the most popular podcast in the world at this point. I think up there with Serial and Joe Rogan.
Who are they?
The two best podcasts going. I assume already so many emails from like Marvel themselves asking you and me to get on board and how they can really fix the MCU.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't got back to them yet, but I will
not
do.
Yet. My plan would be to start making like good films again. That probably would put them back on track.
Yeah, but they haven't made any money from the crap films that they've made, so they're in a bit of a hole.
Yeah. Oh dear. Maybe more toys. That'd be my solution.
Everyone's buying Barbies now, though, aren't they?
Yeah, good on Mattel. I'm certain what Mattel will learn from the lesson of the Barbie movie success will certainly be, oh yeah, we need more female-led stories made by females for females. They won't just learn, oh, people love films about toys.
I don't know what other toys they've ever made, so...
What was that one they kept referencing? Skippy?
Just Alan.
Alan. Today's films being Iron Man 2 from 2010 and Beautiful Boy from 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Had you seen either of these films before today? He asks.
Only Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Several times.
Yeah. Do you remember the first time you saw Iron Man 2? Cinema, DVD?
I don't, actually. I'm trying to think now. It must have been on DVD, I think. At uni, probably. Like after the Avengers came out, maybe. I remember seeing Iron Man 3 in the cinema, but yeah, I must have watched Iron Man 2 on DVD. Obviously, kind of forgettable.
Had you seen Beautiful Boy before?
I hadn't, no. Had you?
Had you heard? No, oh god, it's that kind of film I would never watch. But that's why we do this podcast, isn't it? Because we're expanding our minds and the audience's mind, and you at home. I think I'd seen Iron Man 2 on DVD or tally. I think I started watching Marvel films in the cinema with Iron Man 3 and the Avengers. I think it was around that era. I know I didn't see Thor Dark World in the cinema, I can tell you that.
I think I saw Thor Dark World in the cinema.
Oh, amazing. Did you walk out of that a different person? Well, a poorer person?
They just robbed me of my money. For something not enjoyable. I think at the time I was like, wow, that was okay. But I think as Marvel's got along, it turned into one of the worst things you could possibly watch.
I was reading a thing the other day, and it had this perfect description for Marvel. If I've said this on the podcast already, I'll cut this. It doesn't matter. It says that Marvel's got a really high basement, but a really low ceiling.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense, yeah.
It's like the bad ones are still watchable,
Yeah.
but very rarely do the good ones like skyrocket.
Yeah. But it doesn't actually take that much for them to be really, really good.
No.
Either.
No.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah, we'll make that the catchphrase of this podcast, no matter where I heard it.
Marvel's basement is huge.
Yeah.
Full of shit.
Right, Lauren, as may become the way this podcast works, you're going to talk us through Iron Man.
Yes, I can.
And we've not even said the theme of these two films. What makes these two films brothers in arms, Lauren?
So I think our theme was substance abuse.
Yes.
And that was just it.
One a bit more fantastical than the other, and the other one being Iron Man 2.
So
Yeah. How does the film start, Lauren, may I ask?
how does it start with the Paramount logo? It's the only logo we like to see these days.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I think but when we watch Iron Man 3, we will not be greeted by the Paramount logo at that point.
No, I do not think so.
This is also the first one that I think had the Marvel Studios logo, where it was Marvel Studios, not just Marvel. Maybe?
Oh, I didn't. You paid more attention than I do.
I like the logos, Lauren.
I'm going to write them all down next time.
Thank you. Actually, I'll explain why I like the logos. I have I have a feeling that you could write an algorithm, which is the more logos that appear at the start of your movie, the worse your movie is. Like, we watched Resident Evil, the final chapter, the other day, and there was, I swear, 5 or 6 production studio logos at the start.
Yeah, but I get what you mean, because I think that's they're them going around begging for people's money to please help me make this film. Just give me your money. I'll put your name at the front, and we can make this film.
Yeah, that's why those films suck.
Exactly, because no one wants to do it, so everyone's just putting you can have a little bit of money, and then they're like, oh, I'll have to go ask somebody else for the rest of it.
Yeah. So after the logos,
you get the same speech that Tony kind of that ends Iron Man 1, which I thought was quite nice. You're picking exactly the same place you were in, which I felt made you feel it's just a complete continuation rather than, this happened 6 months later kind of thing. So you're thrown right back to where you were.
Yeah, I really like that as well.
Yeah, I think it was a good, interesting move. And then that kind of overlapped with the introduction of the bad guy.
Yes. Ivan didn't write down his second name.
Vanko.
Yeah, the opening of this film proving that apparently literally anybody but Obi can make an arc reactor, apparently.
Have his box of scraps to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently, as long as you don't actually work at StarTech, you can just whack an arc reactor out in an afternoon, apparently.
Well, they did have the blueprint for the arc reactor.
But I assume they did at Stark Industries, because they've got a fucking huge one.
Maybe you just couldn't find it, I don't know. This giant blueprint hanging up in someone's office. You just didn't think to look at it. I have no idea.
Oh, that, but just smaller. Oh, right. Oh, fucking hell.
Why didn't you say so?
Woo!
Oh, God. So then you see Ivan's father die. Well, He sort of like dies off in a room, and Ivan's very upset, and you hear this kind of like music, which really just stuck out to me, and I was like, is this the only way that you can make someone sound bad, like a bad guy? Is just having this terrible bad guy music over the top.
I did also put, when Ivan's father dies, he pulls such an ugly face when he's screaming in mourning.
I mean, his face is kind of like messed up and ugly anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, that's just Mickey Rourke, isn't it?
Bless him.
So the bad guy in this, Ivan, is played by Mickey Rourke, who, from my understanding, doesn't speak a word of Russian, and chose to do a bad guy from a 1960s spy film as the like kind of influence for his Russian accent that he takes on.
Yeah, it's not the
It
best.
is not. It is very much like a cartoony Russian accent, isn't it?
If you want to be stereotypically Russian offensive,
Yeah.
that's the accent you go for. So after all that plays out, you see it goes straight back to Tony in court.
It goes to Tony at the Stark Expo wearing some of the worst fitting trousers I've ever seen in my life.
For a minute, I thought he was wearing the exact same suit that he was wearing at the end of the Hulk, and then I was like, oh, he's wearing a bow tie. It's not the same suit. I was like, it looks exactly the same.
I thought the exact same thing. I was like, that man's he's a billionaire. He could get some like skinny fits or something.
Who is this tailor? Where has he got this guy from? He's literally like shopping, like it must be like a Walmart suit or something. It's like, surely he can afford a fitted suit.
Well, I have a theory. The reason he's wearing such like big baggy trousers is so you can't see the platforms he's on to make him taller.
Oh, those platforms.
Because RDJ is quite short, isn't he?
He's 5'8", but in the terms of superhero men, I would guess that it's short.
I think probably next to Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans, probably a rather short man.
Yeah.
And compared to the supermodel stood behind him, again, probably quite short.
Anyone in high heels is going to tower over him, bless him.
So he's there in his trousers. We find out that he's poorly sick, isn't he, Lauren?
He's poorly sick. But he doesn't. This doesn't really explain anything. He's kind of just like doing like what could be a diabetes test, and he's like pricking his thumb. It doesn't explain anything, and he's just looking very sad and like, this isn't good, kind of thing. And that's it. So we get to find out how poorly sick he actually is. And then
no, get those page turn noises in
Sorry,
there.
hang on.
Good do.
Let me just straighten up my brain.
We could put this podcast under ASMR now.
Ooh. Do you ever get those TikTok ASMRs with some ladies with the long nails with a ball microphone, and they're just like, it's like welcome to my ASMR. I'm like, this is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, you know what? I wish it sounded like a spider was crawling on my head.
It's honestly so weird. My TikTok now, totally unrelated to the podcast, but it's just like people pretending to be NPCs. Have you seen them?
I every time I get recommended one, I'm always click on and say not interested.
That's a good idea. I might start doing that. But I end up going, what the hell are they doing? And then I'm like, are they making so much money from this that everybody's doing it? Because that's all they seem to be doing.
I only found out about that not interested feature because I kept getting recommended this video. It was like, ooh, I'm a bumblebee. I was like, I don't need to hear that. And then I got recommended it again and again and again.
You just haven't accepted the idea of it. That's all they're thinking.
It's like, no, it's irritated me.
It's so good, you should watch it.
Oh yeah, this sequence at the start with Tony does end with some POV.
Does it?
Yeah, where he's like walking through the crowd and you get Stan Lee's cameo.
Yes.
And I was
It's
like, oh,
bumping
this is a
into
reference
people,
to the
and then he's like sort of like looking up and down all the hot chicks. So I was like, oh yeah.
I was like, this is either a reference to that Hulk intro with the POV, or they couldn't get Robbie Downey for this day.
Oh yeah, that's quite a possibility. Yeah. And if he had to walk through that crowd of people, they would realise how short he was.
Yeah, the POV's looking up at everyone. A distinct tilt. I do just want to say, I am only like 1 inch taller than him.
So he's not that short, really.
You know, wait, this is an audio podcast. I'm 6'2".
To be fair, it's like 5'8". It's like the average height of a guy, like 5'9", 5'10". So he's not short by any means, really. If he was 5 foot, then you'd be like, oh god. He wouldn't be famous if he was 5 foot.
Yeah. Short to someone like me who's 6'2", but yeah, he's average height. So Tony goes to the Supreme Court.
Oh yeah, he gets handed an envelope which he hates. Which I don't understand what that is for. What that is about. Is that some like comic book reference?
No, I think it's just a funny joke. Does it come up in the other films? It was like being passed things.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't like to be handed things. I'm like, what does he get handed that he doesn't like?
Maybe he's got a touch of autism, Lauren.
You know what? That wouldn't surprise me in how he acts, to be honest. Yeah, so they race off to court as fast as they possibly can across the country in their super fast car.
In that advert.
It's like an Audi advert or something, isn't it?
Well, yeah. There's like an Audi in every Marvel film, and there's always a close up of the logo as well.
Not in every. I thought it was just like an Iron Man thing with Audi.
No, I remember every Marvel film I've seen in the cinema. I remember there being an Audi advert before the film, and then one during the film as well.
Audi is paying Robert Downey Jr.'s wages.
Yeah. Yeah, that bit in Ultron where they're driving through the flying city. It's Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Oh yeah, they just jump in some random car. Is that an Audi?
It is an Audi, of course it is.
Oh, they couldn't possibly jump in a Fiat.
You know, remember in the bit in Civil War where they're going through the tunnel and they're chasing around all those cars? You never guess what makes those cars, huh?
Really?
Yeah, Audis, yeah.
How do you remember that?
I've touched autism, Lauren.
This is the important information your brain has chosen to retain.
Oh, yeah, I sometimes, and I apologise for this, my love, I sometimes forget my fiance's birthday. Not just the exact date. I'm not like, oh, it's her birthday tomorrow. It's just like, it's the exact date that slips my mind.
I think that's reasonable, to be fair.
Yeah, but is it? But I remember all the Audi adverts I've ever seen from Marvel.
As long as you don't actually forget the actual day when it is her birthday, it's fine. But if someone said to you, when is her birthday, you go, I think it's this day, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you actually forget it in real life, you're in trouble, mate.
Yeah, I'm not that bad. So they go to Supreme Court. We have a sequence I really like. It's like on the nose, but I think it really works. Rhodey turns up, but it's not the Rhodey we know and love, is it, Lauren?
No. It's just a really subtle, like, we've swapped this dude, but you're not going to notice.
I've written down exactly what he says.
Okay, what did he say?
It's me, I'm here, deal with it, move on. I'm like,
nice and simple, just, yeah.
That's the first thing he says. That's the first thing Rhodey says in this. And with his recast, I'm like, that is putting a pin on it, being like, look, it's me. That's how it is.
Yeah.
That guy asked for too much money and was not very good in the first one.
No, that is very cool. I think this, honestly, some of the script writing in, well, these two Iron Mans is very, very, very good.
Yeah, I'd say this one. We talked about last time of Iron Man that they had to do a lot of improv and figure out the scenes on the day because they've spent so much money on special effects and like the script was kind of wishy-washy. You can tell this one has had like a steady hand go over it.
Yeah.
Like, it is funnier, definitely.
Yes, there's a lot of quipping in this
Yeah.
one, I think. And I feel like there's a lot more talking, if that makes
Yes.
sense. There's a lot more back and forth conversation. It's not just kind of like tone, like, oh, this is what Tony's doing, this is what he's thinking or feeling.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people having conversations, and a lot of the story moves through the conversations this time.
Yeah, and it's like saying the quipping's not like what people like the Joss Whedon kind of he's right behind me, isn't he? Kind of quipping. It's like actually quite sharp and funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tony goes to court because he's got an Iron Man suit, and the American government want him to give them their Iron Man suit.
Yes, and
Tony pulls out a smartphone
yes,
because it's now 2010.
everyone's got an iPhone now, near enough.
Yeah.
And then he just shames the government. He's just like, look what I can do compared to your like paltry CCTV from 1,000 miles.
Yeah, so Iron Man 2 does confirm that America has got spy cams over Russia, North Korea, and China. Because Tony hacks into those satellites to look at their cheap Iron Man suits.
Yeah, and he believes that he figures out that all of these people are way behind him intelligently. You know, no one can be as good as Tony Stark, so he thinks that no one's going to have one of these suits in the next 15 years.
And and then the credits roll because he's right, I assume. And
Dun, dun, dun. Well, he gets into a big argument with the senator.
so Tony leaves the Senate being like, I'm fucking great. Keeps doing the Ronald Reagan peace hands thing, which I find a bit weird, but
Yeah,
like,
that's
the
all over
big
that
arms
film,
out.
but it's just he holds his hand super weird as well. It's kind of like a claw
He's got like he's got really short tendons in his fingers.
to go with the rest of his short body, short fingers.
Well, that's why he doesn't like to be handed things. He got older.
Oh, poor Tony. These short fingers.
Woo! Yeah.
So he treats court as a joke, doesn't he? He's he calls them ass clowns.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm trying to reason with them, and then he basically just leaves. Don't think that actually anything gets resolved in that courtroom at all, does it?
No, it's just we get the introduction to Hammer, don't we?
Oh yes, Justin Hammer, like the most annoying dude in the world.
In a few seconds' time, when we get to Monaco, I've got some good things to say about Hammer.
Well, I think the next thing that happens is he's sort of like tinkering in his I'd call it an office, but his garage or whatever, and Pepper comes in. Lab, that's the word. Tinkering in his lab. Pepper comes in and starts moaning at him that he's not in the place that he should be, or something like that. And then they have a little argument, and then he ends up saying, "You know what? You should just be the CEO. I don't want to do it anymore." He's having some sort of existential crisis. I can't speak.
Yeah, he's clearly poorly, and it's making him like erratic a little bit as well.
Yeah.
And but he's weird because it's like a controlled erratic, because he knows essentially what's happening is that the palladium core in his chest, which is keeping him alive, is giving him blood poisoning, from my understanding.
I think so, something like that. He's being poisoned by the thing that's keeping him alive, and he knows that the only way out is he's gonna die. He's tried everything because he's Tony Stark. Like, if there was a way to fix it, he would have fixed it, and he can't. So he's having this crisis of like, what do I do? Like, and I think he wants to just tell Pepper exactly everything that's happening, and he doesn't want to dump that on her. He doesn't want to leave her with all of that. And at the same time, he wants to tell her how much he loves her because he knows he's going to die. And he's kind of like teetering on this fine ledge. And he is coming across reckless and uncaring. But I think that's because he starts to say what he wants to say, and then he quickly takes it back because he's afraid of being vulnerable.
Yeah, you hit on a really lovely point there. I'm not considered when watching this. It's like, oh yeah, he's Tony Stark. He's the smartest man in the world, and there's a problem that he physically can't fix. That must be brutal. It's because it's a science problem, and it's too complex for him. He's out of solutions.
Yeah, I mean, he says at one point, he's like, I've tried every 9 element. There is nothing that I can do. Yeah. And
it's lovely.
He's just counting down the minutes of him dying, and he's like, what is he supposed to do?
Yeah. So to sign over his company, they get a notary who is called Natalie Rushman, a really tiny, small, insignificant part in this film for some reason, who's played by Scarlett Johansson. I'm certain that won't play into anything later. I'm certain that's just a bit part.
Yeah.
Who then goes to proceed to kick the living shit out of Happy Logan.
That's funny. How Pepper is like, oh my god, Happy! Like Happy's never been punched in the face before.
Yeah, he's a bodyguard. He's surely had worse. So then they go to Monaco.
Oh yeah, trip to Monaco. Does it say why they're going to Monaco? They're just...
Because he's got that F1 race and he's just going to...
So they're just there, show off my
they'll
race
see
car.
the Stark car. We then meet the fucking worst character in the film. We meet Elon Musk.
That was so funny because I was like, is Tony Stark meant to, like... He's a bit like Elon Musk, isn't he? And then he's just there. I'm like, oh, God.
Oh, there is a better comparative to Elon Musk in this film, and it's Hammer.
Justin Hammer. Oh, God.
They, like, literally, because he goes from meeting Musk to meeting Hammer, and it's like the perfect person to represent him, because they're the same guy. They're both these massive losers who are obsessed with being popular, who are both really shit at inventing things. Because obviously Elon Musk thinks that he is Tony Stark, but he's not. He's Justin Hammer. He is so clearly Justin Hammer.
Most annoying guy in the world who's not getting it right.
Yeah. All he has to do is shut up. He's already a billionaire. Be happy with that.
Everyone's got to know his name, though.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Lauren, I don't want to break your heart. If I become a billionaire, I'm probably not going to do this podcast anymore.
What am I supposed to do with my life, Josh?
No, actually, to be fair, I probably would do the podcast because I think I'd be worse than Elon Musk. Everyone would need to know who I am. You know what? I'll buy Twitter off of him and I'll just reverse all the changes.
No, you'd have to call it something really stupid.
I call it Twitter. That name's going free.
I just call it Zed.
Yeah, so... Oh, dear. So, Tony's now really acting out in Monaco, isn't he? Because he's met Elon Musk and he's like, fuck it, what's even worth living for now?
Well, I think, he goes to check himself and, like, check his blood level again. And I think he's, like, at 50% blood toxicity or something there. So he's like, holy crap. I haven't got much time left.
He then looks down the camera and says, what should I do, Lauren? I mean, he just looked down the camera and say, what should I do next? Yeah.
Oh, he's looking into the mirror to himself, isn't he, really?
Yeah. But it's down the camera.
Yeah. And he was like, well, why not drive my Formula One car that I'm never going to get the chance to drive again? Like,
I mean, he is right. Again, if I was a billionaire and I owned a Formula One car, I'd want to go in it.
Exactly. Why not?
Yeah, so Tony goes whizzing round, he's having the time of his life, isn't he, Lauren?
He is having the best time of his life. Also being slightly risky, reckless, and out of control. But
he's like, you've written that.
yeah, I have written that. But I've written here, they must have had some mental dollar after Iron Man 1, because those action sequences are absolutely stunning.
Oh yeah, the step up in the set pieces in this is phenomenal, truly.
It's just gone from like something quite simple and basic to like really full blown coordinated scenes.
Yeah.
And like when I think it's Tony's car that goes like flipping over, but there is a car that goes like flipping over towards the camera. I was just like, that must have cost so much money.
Yeah, so Whiplash comes in and starts whiplashing some cars, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Or Ivan, as you should say, Ivan. Who's not called Whiplash ever in this film, is he?
No, but everyone knows him as Whiplash. It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they... Or do they... I feel like that's something they would show on a newspaper where it says Whiplash. Yeah. It might be a very, 1 second thing, but...
Yeah. Yeah, so then we get what I think is the best sequence in the film, like genuinely the Tony versus Ivan in the Formula One area.
Okay.
Like you're saying, the cinematography is really nice.
Yeah.
Like the suit up scene that Tony has is phenomenal.
Yeah, that suitcase is one of my favourite Iron Man suit ups, I think.
Yeah, so Tony's got his Iron Man suit in a suitcase. So far in these films, we've seen him. He has to have a big machine that allows him to suit up, and even at the start of the film, we see that.
Yeah.
But he's just got this sick ass suitcase
that's chained to Happy.
And it's chained to Happy. And he suits up. I assume it's meant to be a reference to the old Iron Man cartoon where he used to have his Iron Man suit in the suitcase.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, maybe that happens in the comic. My Iron Man comic knowledge is not as much as my others.
I can't remember. I've only read 1 or 2, so I can't remember.
I did say, it's funny that the most iconic shot from that Batman film that came out a few years ago was stolen from this, where Tony's lying upside down in his car and we see Whiplash walking towards him upside down. And I was like, oh yeah, that was like the iconic shot from that Batman movie that's apparently lifted straight from Iron Man 2. Yeah, so Tony kicks the shit out of Whiplash by kicking the shit out of him because Whiplash has got these big cool whips, but Tony's got a $1 billion suit of armor. So I think he literally does just like uppercut him and that knocks him out, which is fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, he's just wearing these electric arms, like the rest of his body. It's just like he's not even wearing anything. It's just literally his chest is out. Like, if he gets shot or whatever, he's going to die.
Yeah.
He's just a man with electric arms.
And this is not a Spider-Man thing. He can't get away with that shit. It needs to be more than that. Yeah, so we then cut to Ivan and Tony in prison. This is the only scene in the film where those two are together in the same room.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's just those two. And I noticed that they both have very similar facial hair.
I don't know. Maybe that's some sort of like science reference here.
And yeah, because Ivan tells Tony that Ivan's dad worked with Tony's dad on the arc reactor project, and then it was stolen apparently.
Yeah. And
then Tony's like, you could have made loads of money from making an arc reactor, and Ivan's like, I just wanted to make a god bleed so no one believes in him anymore. And I'm like, that's a nice line. That was definitely written, and it's delivered by a guy doing the stupidest accent I've heard. All that for a drop of blood, Lauren.
Yeah. I was going to say, well, it does a kind of a good job of making Tony not... He does a good job of like knocking him down a peg because, Tony's essentially brought this like danger upon America.
Yeah.
And I found this weird American patriotism theme across this entire film, which I didn't realise before. It's all very like, protect America.
There is a lot of American flags in this one.
There's a lot of American flags, but it's just kind of like, it's America's interest, you know.
Yeah.
Tony's America's protector, America this, America that, and it's never really clicked before.
Yeah, it's always interesting. It's really interesting returning to these films with like a more like mature taste than 10 years ago. Yeah, so Hammer then breaks Ivan out of prison because he wants him to make him Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
And Ivan's like, I can do that for you. Ivan wears some very funny reading glasses, which I couldn't believe made it through the costume department.
Maybe they were just his real life glasses.
Yeah, you know, it wouldn't shock me if Mickey Rourke needs glasses. He's got a face like shredded lettuce.
Oh, bless him.
Tony goes back to America to have a birthday party.
Yeah, but he goes back on a plane, doesn't he?
Yeah, he makes Pepper a meal that takes him 3 hours, apparently.
3 hours to cook an omelette. It's like, is that where you've been for the last 3 hours? It's like, making this...
Again, that's funny. That's a funny quip. Like,
extremely green omelette. Like...
It's got pesto on it, Lauren. It's pesto.
Oh, I don't know. It just...
I'm just assuming.
It was a very sloppy looking omelette, and I was like, it took him 3 hours. He doesn't look like he'd ever made an omelette in his life.
Yeah, you know what? Here's a question. In Iron Man 2, when would you think was the last time Tony cooked a meal?
When he made that omelette.
Yeah, pre that.
Oh. I can't even imagine him making a meal when he's at uni. You know, like in his college days.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it was the first time he'd turned on a stove. And you know what? I'm going to defend Tony's omelette here. Famously, cooking food at altitude is ridiculously hard.
Oh, okay.
Because obviously water boils at a different temperature the higher you get. The cabin's pressurized. Like, it makes cooking really hard. It's why airplane food sucks. Because you know how hard it is to like cook a meal when you're 35,000 feet?
I just thought it was a cost-saving exercise to put it in a hot tray to make and then warm it up. That was it.
No, it sucks because it's so hard to cook food at that distance.
Oh, okay.
It's also why people cry at movies more on planes, because the pressurization and the height fucks you up.
I had no idea about that. They don't have in-flight entertainment anymore, which is a bit sad.
I've not been on a plane since the pandemic happened. So.
Well, I think it's just like another cost-saving exercise. I remember, like when I was a kid, they'd sell those little headphones to you with the two plugs, so you could watch whatever they'd put on the TV. And then it's just not there anymore. I was just like, oh, this is like a sad flight. When I went on my holiday, I was like, oh, I was really excited to get me two-pronged headphones.
They've got to start putting Sully on these planes. People don't want to watch Sully. It's a film about a plane crash, people. Come on, people don't want to watch this.
Can you imagine if that's the only film they ever played on a plane? Here's your in-flight entertainment.
Oh dear. Yeah, so Tony has apparently got, according to Rhodey, a really high-tech crossword on his neck. Which, again, very good line.
No, I did like that. But I did say that when he's on that plane and he gives Pepper her omelette, Pepper fully understands everything about that man, and she knows that he is not being truthful to her. Without him saying anything, she knows that something is wrong and he's not telling her. And
you know, I ping-ponged a lot on Gwyneth Paltrow's performance in this film, because this is one of the ones where she's still kind of trying.
I like Pepper not as CEO. I think Gwyneth, when she's sort of like being Tony's assistant, shines better. When she's being CEO, she is annoying as fuck.
Please, Lauren, CEO.
She's the CEO of the company these days. Let me flip my page over to catch up to where we are. Oh, at the party. There we go, found it. Let me just hang on.
Oh, it's like listening to a live play D&D podcast. Just listening to the dungeon master flip through his notes is gorgeous.
So this party, he's absolutely smashed out of his face. Doesn't really care.
I think at this point his blood poisoning's like over 80%.
Yeah, I think he checks it just before the party starts, doesn't he? It's quite high. And I think he says to Natalie, like, what would you do if this was your last birthday party ever? And she's like, just do whatever you want, mate.
Wink.
And then Rhodes shows up. I think, does Pepper call him? I can't remember.
I hope Rhodey was invited to his birthday, so he was just coming naturally.
Well, yeah, that's probably. And he's like, "Oh, you're gonna have to sort this out, otherwise I'm going to." I'm like, I don't know why that line just sat so badly with me. So weird.
And I was like, he won't be brought back for the next one if he acts like this.
Oh dear. And then he's just, wheezing in his own suit, starts shooting things. Room full of people, quite easily could die by one of those little blasts. And then Rhodey goes, "You know what? You're being a dick. I'm going to sort you out, mate." And then just randomly puts on a suit.
Yeah.
And how can he just randomly put on a suit, Josh?
Because they've all got arc reactors in them, haven't they?
Yeah. But surely there's some sort of password protection, or surely Jarvis knows that that's not Tony.
Well, this is mentioned when in the next scene that Nick Fury's in this film, by the way, spoiler alert. Nick Fury's like, you could have shut down Rhodey's suit at any time. Why did you let him fly away?
Yeah.
And Tony just goes.
He just took it.
He clearly wanted him to take the suit.
Well, I was thinking that he'd not necessarily made the suit for Rhodey, but has shown Rhodey how the suits work, because he just at the end, after he pummels the crap out of Tony, he just flies off. And I was like, Tony Stark spent a whole film learning how to fly one of these suits. How can Rhodey just bugger off in a suit with no problem whatsoever?
Rhodey is a pilot from the Air Force, isn't he? Maybe that's why.
He's flying a plane, not a man suit.
What is a plane, Lauren, if not a giant man suit? Filled with 100 people's farts, eh? What is... You can't boil water when you're in a plane because there's all those farts in there. There's just no room for it. Yeah. So then Tony sits in a giant donut, which I really liked. I love that shot.
That is a very cool shot.
The film's colour palette really shows in that shot where everything's really orange and blue.
That's just the filmmaker colour, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that is certainly mid 2010s filmmaking colour. Like digital filmmakers love the blue and the orange.
That was like, if you want to make a film look like a film, put this orange and blue tint on it. It will look like a film.
It's like, I swear there's other colours, guys. So then Tony has a meeting with Nick Fury and Black Widow, who turns out that's who Scarlett Johansson was.
They don't call her Black Widow just yet, do they?
They just call her proper name, which I cannot remember.
Natasha Romanoff.
That's it. I have put here, there's something actually really special about 3 superheroes in full superhero costumes sat talking to each other. That is like, I'm like, they don't do stuff like that in Marvel films anymore, really, do they? I'm like, why is there not more of that?
Yeah, just having a little chin wag. I like it that's in the donut shop as well. Yes.
It's like that scene looks the most like one from a comic book in this movie.
Yeah.
And because in the comics they all sit around in costumes just doing regular shit sometimes, and I'm like, it like really sold it for me. I was like, that is like special, and it actually kind of made me sad thinking that is something that we're going to see less of as
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah, I think that scene in particular for this film, it kind of like changes the entirety of the film. Like that's where
Yes.
they're giving this injection, and it changes, the course of his life. I guess, like he was dying, and then they give him this injection that's gonna keep him alive long enough to help him figure out what he needs to do. And I think the bright colours and everything of that shot sort of like sets this film on its new trajectory. Like everything changes from that. Like I think the whole vibe and the colours and the cinematography and everything else changes along with that.
You're right. You're right. It's totally. I 100% agree. Nick Fury says he has to solve the riddle of his heart, which I really like. I was like, that's a good line of dialogue.
Yeah, because it's not just the crossword puzzle coming out of his heart; it's the unresolved feelings with his dad in his heart too.
Yeah.
Which is cute.
Yeah, so Nick Fury gives him a loot box full of Daddy Stark merch.
One of them loot crates that everyone wants from their dad.
Yeah. That's such a good way to put it. You know what? Next time I'm playing Fortnite, if I open up a loot crate, it's just loads of shit about my dad. Maybe I would like that. A video of my dad saying that he really loves me, but just what I need when I'm playing Fortnite.
I think that's what everybody wants at the end of the day.
Yeah. I do like the kind of vibe they give Daddy Stark is like it's a really Walt Disney vibe.
Yeah.
I thought I really liked that as well, like because I do forget that he was like because they're called the Imagineers, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like this is pre the whole Disney owning Marvel, so this is coming from like a sincere place of seeing like these 50s and 60s inventors as like visionaries and like people who had wanted to really change the world, and like that's what Daddy Stark is.
Yeah.
He wanted to make the world better.
No, yeah, I like that. Yeah, he has got this sort of Walt Disney vibe, but I also think he has a very Tony Stark vibe. Like how much Tony is like his dad is scary, really.
It is a really good performance.
Yeah, he's good. That guy. I have no idea what that guy's name is, but he's a really good actor.
Yeah. Tony goes to see Pepper and tries to poison her with some strawberries.
Oh yeah, that's just more. I don't even know what that's
just
about.
Just more CEO stuff.
More CEO, more Pepper being a CEO.
Yeah.
You know who we forgot to mention?
What?
Phil.
Oh yeah, well we'll get to Phil in a minute. Tony steals a diorama from Pepper's office.
Oh, that was in his dad's video. Yes.
Yeah. He does a really cool scan of it.
So this is
like, oh,
this is what I really liked when the film starts getting back to who Tony Stark really is and how smart he is, and he just makes this hologram of a diorama, and then can figure out that there's a new element that nobody's ever known before, and it's just like that's Tony Stark. That's who he really is, and I love that. It's kind of getting back to his roots, like montage kind of thing.
It's like because in that first film we get that lovely like thing of him making the suit, and then we get the lovely him inventing this in this film, and it's like, yeah, actually you do want to see Tony make stuff. Like again, this is probably one of the places where the film peaks. I think this film really does it peaks with the Monaco race, then it starts to peak way more in its third act.
Yeah.
Like, he's building this. He then needs to make a machine to help make his new element.
Yes.
Phil Coulson's there.
Yeah. Lovely
He's
Phil.
like, oh, give me that piece of plastic you've got there. But what's the piece of plastic, Lauren? What is it?
It's a prototype Captain America shield.
What?
Oh my god!
And I genuinely remember seeing that for the first time and thinking that was the coolest shit ever.
Yeah.
Marvel used to be so good at this cameo stuff. That is so small and it's so clever, and then Phil's like, how do you know what this is?
Yeah. It's crazy where they've come from, because that's such a slightly small and kind of insignificant detail, but it is also so loaded
Yes.
with so much like backstory and everything else. And when I was watching this, I was like, you know what the films seem to be missing these days is Phil Coulson. And then I was like, oh, he's
Yes.
died.
or is he dead? 'Cause-
He did die, I think, in the Avengers, didn't he?
But isn't he like in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show? Is that canon?
I have no idea. I stopped watching after about the third season.
Maybe there is a more poetic point there. The films are missing Phil Coulson, who represents like the heart of these movies.
Well, I think so. Like, because he's kind of like in each sort of like beginning, like each superhero's beginning.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like bringing it together, and he's like supervising.
Yeah.
For want of a better word. I don't think he's in the Hulk, is he? But he's in Iron Man. He's in Iron Man 2. And then I think he's in maybe a couple of other ones. But I was just like, it's quite cute, the consistency of the same thing. And it's also kind of like built, and he having just that little extra bit builds up the bigger picture of everything going on behind the scenes. And I was like, oh, they don't really have that these days. It's just like,
and if you're viewing it in a wider context, you've got Super Soldier references in the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
You've just now got another Super Soldier reference in Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's really cool and it's really special.
Yeah.
Like, and also the film doesn't pause for 15 minutes for you to stand up and clap. Like, it's just literally like a throwaway reference. It's like, if you get it, you don't, you don't. Yeah. Because to Tony, it's just a piece of scrap that he puts under a big pipe.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, this is just a bit of laying around my house. Oh, this will do. Perfect size. Yeah. I'll use that.
It, again, makes me sad knowing that the films lose something special as we go. Like, I maybe I should save this for beyond episode 3, but who cares? That shot of that shield in Iron Man 2 means more to me than all of the Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire scenes in the latest live-action Spider-Man movie. I think that is more special and presented in a cleverer way.
Yeah. And I think they've got to a point now where they're just... I think they've kind of like got too far ahead of themselves, and they're just kind of like chucking out, you know, like end credits here and there, like, because they'll have 2, won't they, most of the time. And they're like, oh, we've got to put an end credit in. Let's just put this thing in the middle. Everyone will go, oh my God. And they're struggling to fulfill them, which is the annoying part.
Yeah. They just want to read out a Wikipedia list of characters' names and have you clap every time you hear one. Like, instead of like making it interesting in the world, like that shield is interesting. Like, because it's not actual Captain America shield. So, and then you're like, oh shit, yeah, you know the comics, like, oh shit, yeah, Howard Stark helped do Captain America. We've already had a reference to Captain America technically in the previous film with the Hulk.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's done with it's like, it's more patient and it's slower.
Yeah. That's like a build up over a few films rather than like, wow, here's like, well, the next film's going to be.
Yeah. Here's Pip the Troll.
And Harry Styles.
Great, thanks.
But that's like, if you want someone to watch your film, you're going to put Harry Styles in it.
Well, if you want me to watch it, you'll actively not put Harry Styles in. Boy can't act.
But do you know how many young women love Harry Styles, and they will go and watch a Marvel movie just to see Harry Styles? That's how they're going to make their money.
They're never going to make a sequel to that Eternals film, I promise you.
No, I don't think they will now. No.
You know what, Lauren? Let's do this. Will make the podcast exciting. On air now, live on air, because this podcast goes out live. I bet you £15 they never make a film called Eternals 2.
What if they make it like if any like? Do you think they'll make any Eternals film ever, or do you think they will shoehorn the Eternals into a different film?
The Eternals will be in a background shot of one of the Avengers movies.
Oh,
you know how like kind of Hawkeye's kind of shoehorned into the first Avengers movie? They're kind of basically going to do that.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so anyway, Tony makes a big laser and makes a new element, and it's apparently fucking bang on.
It's bang on. He's fixed.
He's all better now.
Yeah.
Addiction, as long as you work on yourself, you can get over it, and it's real good.
If you spend time making a new element, you will cure yourself of your substance abuse.
Yeah, this film then takes a really strong and brave anti-drone stance for an American movie, where it turns out Ivan's made Hammer some drones, and Ivan's like, drones, and Hammer's like, drones suck. Why would I want drones? He's like, dude, you work for you work for the American government. You fucking love drones, bro. Ah, dear. And then Ivan's like, I can make them all salute for you at the Stark Expo.
And that's all that you need them to do, really, isn't it?
So then we go to the Stark Expo. Ivan rings Tony. He's like, I'm going to kill everyone at the Stark Expo.
And then Hammer just dances.
Oh my god, that dance is
for
just
about
walking
5 minutes.
And it reminded me of when Elon Musk walked onto the stage a few years ago dancing in the exact same way.
Is he literally trying to be Justin Hammer, honestly?
I don't know. I keep wanting to call him Army Hammer, but that's that actor who's a cannibal, isn't it?
Is he a cannibal? Oh, I have no idea.
Or is it like some weird cult or something?
I think he's meant to be. I think he's quite a weird guy.
The drones go, and also Rhodey appears at the Stark Expo in his new cool war machine suit.
Yeah, that Hammer's fitted up with lots of guns and God knows what.
Yeah, a big fight breaks out because it turns out all these drones made by a Russian guy were evil. Who could have seen this coming?
Do they just start shooting everybody? I can't remember.
They do.
Yeah.
Ivan's like, evil drone mode, go.
Let me just press my big
and
button.
that includes Rhodey as well.
Oh yeah. How does he get control? How does he get back in control of his suit?
He gets Jarvis to hack the system for him.
Oh yeah, good old Jarvis.
And whilst that's happening, Black Widow goes to where Ivan is to go also hack the system from that end as well.
Oh yeah, double hacks, yeah.
Double hack. We get a bit where the drones are going to shoot a kid wearing an Iron Man mask, and then Iron Man saves him.
Yeah.
And 10 years later, Kevin Feige will be like, "Oh yeah, that kid in the Iron Man mask is Peter Parker."
Just going to tie these 10 years old, 10 years apart films in any way possible.
And they try to like soft confirm it because the first time you see Peter is wearing the same T-shirt that he is back at the Stark Expo.
Oh, really?
Yes, I believe so, or at least in that film he wears it.
Oh.
Yeah, a big fight breaks out between Tony and the drones. They blow up so many cars.
Lots and lots of cars.
I remember hearing at the time this film was made, it held the record for the most amount of cars destroyed whilst making a film.
Really?
Yeah.
That's insane. Too much money.
Yeah, well, again, because it's Boffo BO. They've made some popular ones. I think that's an interesting thing to consider, is that pre-Iron Man and apparently that Hulk movie, like, obviously, like the Spider-Man films were popular, but Spider-Man, I always feel like Spider-Man is the exception that breaks the rules superhero films, because he is, like, maybe the most popular superhero of all time, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how it is within your family, Lauren, but people in my family who are not really into superhero stuff still know everything about Spider-Man.
I mean, I wouldn't say I know everything about Spider-Man, but my experience, my only experience with comic book films was with comic book was the Spider-Man films. like the original. What's his name?
Sam Raimi's.
Tobey Maguire films, and I remember going to the cinema when I was a kid. I like any pocket money I had, I would go and watch cinema. I think I went to see it like 4 times in one weekend.
Wow, it's amazing though.
Yeah, and I think that was my first experience with any kind of like comic book, because it's not something that I've ever read or.
Saying like Spider-Man aside, these were like the first ones that weren't Spider-Man that were like very popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a golden goose, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it just kind of like ran away with itself. I don't think anyone expected it to kick off as well as it did.
No, and again, it's to hats off to Kevin Feige, or Ferg, or Ferg, whatever you want to call them.
I always say it's Feige, but I don't have a clue if that's right.
We're probably both wrong, or more likely I'm wrong.
It's going to be Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige. Like he was clearly planning this like connected universe.
Yeah.
But again, doing it slowly, and I think testing what people reacted to and what they wanted to see.
Yeah, and I think as time's gone on, they've rushed to get as much out as possible, and I think that might probably where they've gone wrong.
Yeah, I can't believe they saw the mistake that DC made and then copied it.
Yeah. I mean, like, what at this point? What film? Like, how many films are they making? They made like 2008. They had Iron Man, Hulk, 2010. So that's 2 years later. We've got Iron Man 2. When was Thor made? 2010. Is it the same year?
So is it 2 films a year, but 2 years apart?
I think so.
That's maybe a better way to do it.
Yeah, and then they're going on 3. They got 3 in a year at one point, maybe 4. Yeah. And I think, maybe they were just rushing it too much.
Yeah. So Tony blows up these drones. Ivan turns up. He kicks the shit out of Ivan.
Him and Rhodey do like a Iron Blast handshake.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, if an Iron Man suit shoots another Iron Man suit, it causes like a
nuclear
big explosion. Yeah.
I did put why have they gone to some random Japanese garden to have this fight?
I don't know. I'm trying to think about these things, Lauren. I really do.
I was just like, what's really random location?
I mean, if I was going to kill a Russian, I'd want to do it in a Japanese garden. To be honest.
Well, then I thought about Kill Bill. I think that was after the Iron Man, to be fair. But I was like, that's where one of like the big death scenes are. I was like, oh, maybe there's some sort of like
Kill Bill Part 1,
symbolism in a Japanese garden for death or something. I don't actually know.
Maybe so. So yeah, he kills him. He goes to Pepper. Pepper's like, I don't want to be Shio anymore.
Oh, and when they're having their conversation on the roof after everything's okay.
Yeah.
And they have their conversation. I don't want to be the Shio.
Yeah.
And then he finally admits that they kind of like just realise that they love each other and have a little smooch.
Oh.
In front of Rhodey, who witnesses it all.
Rhodey's like, nice.
No, he's like, this is weird.
Yeah. And then again, he lets him fly off with the suit.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I need it. My car's got smashed up.
Then credits roll, and then we get another scene at the end where we see Philip Coulson find a big old hammer in the desert. Ooh.
But but the first shot of him getting out of that car is the entire Thor film of him on that Dutch tilt. Did you know?
Yes.
It's literally like Coulson at an angle. I was like, that's telling the audience exactly what kind of film they're going to get. One that they have to crane their neck to watch.
Oh dear. So, Iron Man 2, Lauren.
Iron Man 2.
Shall we do some scores?
Yep.
For the film overall.
The film overall.
I gave it a 4.
Ooh. I'll give it a 4 too. I was going to say 3.5, but actually I enjoyed it more than that.
Yeah, I think the last third of this film is very, very good.
Yeah.
Because it becomes comic booky.
Yes. I think there's a lot of faff in the rest of it, but the last third is very good.
Yeah. For the acting, I gave it a 3.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3.5, just because I think Sam Rockwell is such a good actor.
He is.
Like, he's such a good... It sounds really great, like weird, but like a character actor. He's so good at characterizing people. And I was like, Justin Hammer is so annoying. And like, even you can see it, everyone in the film finds him annoying. And I was just like, he's so good at creating this sort of like characterization of a person. And you don't think, oh, that's Sam Rockwell. Like, you know, when I said, oh, like this is Ed Norton, like he's just being Ed Norton. Sam Rockwell does so well at being so many different characters that you don't think there ever is him. So I'm going to give him a 4.
Yeah. You've gone from 3.5 to 4. Very nice.
Yeah. Well, I can't get a 4. Well, yeah, no, I'll go 4.
I was going to give it a 4, but then they put Elon Musk in the movie, so it lost the point. The cinematography for me just got a 3 because there was nothing to complain about, but nothing to praise.
Yeah.
Again, the colours and some of it are gorgeous every now and again, but...
you know what? I'm going to give it a 3.5 just because that donut shot is just...
Yeah.
Swish.
Yeah. The editing, I gave it a 2.5 because fuck me is this film edited. Yeah. There are some bits where it is like a cut almost every 2 seconds. The sound for me got a 2.
Yeah.
Because they did not learn their lesson from Iron Man 1, and every scene's just like...
Yeah, I mean, I like Iron Man's theme, but it's just... There's something about it, but when I started watching it, and then the first thing you see is Ivan, is like...
Yes!
That really obvious, like, this is the bad guy sound. I was like, this doesn't bode well for the rest of the film, so I want to give it a 2.5.
And then for costume, I gave it a 4.
A 4. I'm going to give it a 3 because of his stupid suit. And the platforms that are very, very obvious.
I just love... just for that one scene where they're all sat together in the donut place.
But yeah, that is very good.
So for me, that gives them a total of 18.5.
Well, you counted on the way. Hang on. Oh, I'm not that
prepared. I did all my maths beforehand.
I was just scoring off the cuff.
No, I always pre-score, Lauren.
Oh God, I'm not that organised.
The illusion's falling away, Lauren. Everything I'm going to write, everything I'm going to say, I've already written down.
Hang on.
It's just amazing. It's just amazing that things that you say match up with what I've already got written. It's crazy.
Let me just go through my notes and add these up. So I've got. What did you say?
18.5.
Oh, okay. I've got 21. So that's right.
Well, that's boding well for Iron Man 2. Drum fill. Okay, we come now to Beautiful Boy from 2018 by Amazon Studios and Plan B.
Is that who made that film?
It is indeed.
Need to pay more attention to the logos, don't I?
The logos reveal so much, Laura.
Wasn't it like a studio canal?
No, it was a Plan B.
Oh.
Had you heard of Beautiful Boy before this podcast? Because I had not.
I don't want to say heard of, but I'd kind of seen it like written up as a good film. Like, it's not something that I'd heard someone say to me that was really good. But you know, when you say like, oh, blogs are like great films of whatever year, I think that was up there. But it wasn't, you know, it was just kind of like in the ether about being good.
Yeah, it stars Steve Carell and a young Willy Wonka.
After knowing that he was Willy Wonka, I couldn't focus on him not being Willy Wonka in the entire film, and I found that kind of difficult.
Oh dear. So I never heard of this film before. It was one that you suggested to be a good comparison for Iron Man 2.
Well,
because this is normally the exact kind of film I would never watch.
well, I was looking for a film about substance abuse, and
Yeah.
this came up as highly rated.
So no matter what people have said, we, the Marvelless podcast, will be the true deciding voice on how good this film is. So this film starts with Steve Carell as David Sheff. We get a cold open, which is that's kind of how all the Marvel films start. Before the credits, you get a bit of a cold open, don't you? Mm-hmm. Steve Carell is a daddy whose little beautiful baby boy is addicted to crystal meth, and he just tells us all this out loud because the film's gonna. This is one of the things the film really likes to do, is do tell over show. He would rather just tell you things than show you them.
Well, I think it's just that opening monologue said everything you needed to know what was going to happen in this film.
Yeah,
he literally just said everything, and I think it was not oversharing, but he was talking to a psychiatrist, wasn't he? He was just trying to get some help.
Yeah,
and he didn't know what else to do, so he just told him everything that had happened and telling us that at the same time.
I was like, oh god, this film's already telling, not showing.
But then
we don't get a...
then it's flashback, isn't it?
Flashback, maybe. Iron Man 2 starts with a flash forward. Iron Man Beautiful Boy starts with a flashback to a year before. Steve Carell can't sleep. Oh, by the way, I'm not calling him David Sheff. I'm just going to call him Steve.
Okay.
Steve rings the hospital because his son's been missing for 2 days, Lauren. What could that be about? Maybe he's addicted to crystal meth. How could we know? He mopes around his son's bedroom. He reads some thematic books, the main one being The Beautiful and the Damned. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no one in a film ever reads a book that's not related to the main theme of the film, do they?
Well, I was just like, oh, because he's got like he's like the typical 90s grunge kid. He's got this...
I did not get that this film was set in the past till about an hour in.
Yeah, I think it was set like mid-90s, I think.
Yeah, well, also, I'm happy I only Googled at the end to find out it was based on a true story.
Yeah. I think it says at the credits or something at the end that it's based on a true... It might even say at the beginning it's based on a true story, I can't remember. But yeah,
didn't see that.
He's like a typical 90s grunge kid that he had like a Melvins poster and a Nirvana poster, and I was like, oh... Whenever you see that kind of thing in a movie, they're like, oh, that's the kid that's going down a bad road. Because whoever listens to grunge or Nirvana can't possibly be mentally stable.
Yeah, that's why you and me do crystal meth all the time, isn't it? Because we're 90s kids that listen to Nirvana.
I have thought about it before.
I mean, I'll put my hand on my heart here, Lauren. I wouldn't know where to get crystal meth from.
I mean, Josh... I don't think I've ever seen any drugs in my life apart from, the old green stuff. I've never seen any actual drugs in my entire life.
And when Lauren says the green stuff, she means the Hulk cola from...
that luminous cola that just snuck in from another country. All the way from South America.
Oh dear. Yeah, we then get some flashbacks to the beautiful boy when he was a boy, being really nice. As much as Iron Man 2 was edited, this film makes Iron Man 2's editing look subtle.
There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of... I think there's two different timelines, isn't there? There's like a present timeline and a past timeline, and you're flicking between the two quite a lot.
Yeah, I always... this may have been in a film writing lecture that we were both in, but I've always kind of held the belief that if your film has to jump around in time to be interesting, your story's not interesting.
No.
If your story can't be told like A, B, C, D, E, F, G and be, enthralling, it's like
But if he hadn't have said all of that thing in the beginning monologue, everyone would be like, oh my God, where is his son? Is his son okay?
Yeah.
What's happened to him?
It would have been a better film.
Just missing a 2-minute monologue.
Yeah, that film didn't need to start with with Steve Carell reading the back of the DVD to me.
Oh.
By the way, Beautiful Boy, who's played by young Wonka Timothy Chalamet, will just be referred to as BB from now on, or Beautiful Boy. So BB returns home after 2 days, and he's poorly sick on drugs, isn't he, Lauren?
Yeah.
So Stevie takes him to rehab.
Yes.
I also just want to make, but I am not making light of people who have suffered from substance addictions. It is very hard, from my understanding. Like, as someone who has problems with impulse control, like personally, and something I've been to therapy about, and like, I'm not making light of that. What irritates me about this film is how fucking self-important it is. That's what deserves to be mocked. It is one of the worst Oscar baity films I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it is.
Everyone in this film wanted to win a fucking Oscar.
I mean, they tried.
Yeah.
Probably too hard, in all fairness.
Yeah, that's it. And I'm glad I didn't find out it was based on a true story till after I'd watched and marked it, because that irked me even more. I hate true story stuff. Because it's just turning, like, especially like true crime, just turning like real drama into a real life, people's lives and trauma into a bit, ooh, isn't that dramatic? It's like, no, that's people's lives, bro. Like, chill out.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit weird. Like, I found Steve Carell being serious strange. Yes.
Yeah, so they goes to rehab after some time. BB says he doesn't want to. He wants to do some more rehab, and he doesn't want to go to college anymore, which makes Steve kind of unhappy about that. And because and I assume the film's over now because BB's no longer addicted to drugs because he's been to rehab.
But as you know, it's a lifelong issue. Just going to rehab isn't gonna solve the problem.
I've got my notes here. I've basically written out every plot point happens in the film, and what happens. I'm gonna read out the first 30 minutes of the film because they're different. But the last hour and a half of the film is the exact same film over and over again. So Steve gets a call that BB's missing. He goes for a drive and finds BB in the rain, thrown up by some bins. We have a flashback to Steve and BB smoking some pot together.
Mm-hmm.
We go back to the present day, and Stevie asks BB why he likes doing drugs, and BB says the drugs make him feel great, which feels like a very valid point. After saying that he doesn't want to go to college, BB then goes to college. He does all the classic college stuff. He reads some really bad poems. He wears an awful hat. And he falls in love. And again, I'm like, oh, is the movie over? Because we've now got our second happy ending in the film. But no, shocking. He starts doing drugs again. And from this point, the film now does the same film over and over and over and over and over again.
But is that not the nature?
Yes.
Of addiction, though? They will just repeat the same mistakes over again, over again, and over again. And this sounds really bad, but I found it difficult to understand why he did the drugs, like why he felt the need to do it.
Because they made him feel great. Did you not hear him say?
Yeah, I was like, the relationship with his dad is really nice. Like, he has a good dad. And I was like, the relationship with his mum wasn't so great. But, like, I don't know. I don't know if it's like the cynical 90s child in me that was like, you haven't got a problem.
I don't want to do a plot synopsis for this because the film now goes, BB does drugs, goes missing. Steve Carell drives around looking for him. He finds him. BB says, I'm not going to do drugs again. BB goes missing. It just does that in a big loop for an hour and a half. And Lauren, you're probably right. Like, that is meant to represent the cycle of addiction, and it must be very, very hard for people. But as an audience member, fuck me, did I not need to see it?
No, it does get repetitive, and you just like, what are you doing? Like, at one point, like he just, like, when he lets him go to college, I was like, why are you letting this boy that's addicted to drugs go off to college with loads of unresponsible people that are all going to be doing drugs? I'm like, of course he's going to start doing drugs again if you let him go to college.
Wait, like, do people do drugs at uni?
Well, that's all you get from movies and stuff. That's all. Yeah. My reference from American films is they go to college, they underage drink, and they do loads of drugs. And then they might get an education if they're lucky.
Yeah, that might happen on the side. I'm trying to think what are the standout things to me.
He spends some time with his mum, and he, at this point, I thought that he'd turned his life around when he'd gone to live with his mum.
Yeah, and then what happens, Lauren? Does he go missing? Steve Carell drives around and then he finds him again.
Yeah.
And
then
you know what? All this being said so far, you're going to be shocked about my scores about this film, by the way. Yeah, and again, I don't want to do a synopsis because it's just the same thing. Oh, there is a really funny scene that happens at the halfway point in this film. After one of the times BB's gone missing, maybe the 17th or 18th time, Steve Carell flicks through one of BB's notebooks, but the film presents it like he's flicking through a serial killer's notebook, searching for clues. Like, the music's like really tense, and it becomes like a Swedish crime drama all of a sudden. It's just like,
but it just gets darker and darker, isn't it? It's quite a happy book, and then it's like, then you can see the point where he starts doing the drugs. The drugs are taking over, and like he's scribbling, like the pages are turning black, and like, oh god, like, it's just like so textbook. It's like visual storytelling. Like, it's black, it's bad. The devil's got him.
I'm shocked that this wasn't one of the scenes where Stephen Carell says what's happening out loud. Be like, I've just flicked through BB's notebook and it's gotten darker on each page, symbolising that he's kind of had a descent into darkness.
Now, I've got some bits from when he was at the college, when he started doing the drugs again.
Yeah.
So there's a shot at the dinner table when he's with his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And he'd nick some drugs out of the bathroom cabinet. It's just like, well, screw this. I'm just gonna nick my girlfriend's mum's drugs.
I mean,
but
Laura,
I actually said the shot. Sorry,
you know the joke I'm gonna make. You go.
No, I don't. I was like, the shot at the dinner table is actually quite good because he's actually hiding in plain sight. Like, amongst everybody, he's acting normal, but he's just started his drug addiction again.
Yeah. What I was going to say, Lauren, have you ever been at your in-laws' house and been like, I could probably go for some prescription drugs right now?
Not recently, no.
Not recently.
I mean, to be fair, Lee's mum she was on a lot of painkillers. She had a good stash of drugs at her house if you ever wanted any. She had tramadol and all sorts.
Oh, God, Lauren, you could have done your own beautiful boy.
I mean, we still have some of her drugs now, so, just in case I never wanted to do a drug overdose, I've got them.
So people might be wondering, this is one of those films where they say the film title in the film, which I do always like.
Do you?
Yeah, because it's shit.
When they started singing the film title, I was like, bleh.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
This is disgusting.
People may not know this, I'm a huge Beatles fan. I did not get the reference that the Beautiful Boy was a reference to the John Lennon song Beautiful Boy.
Oh, I'm so dumb. I thought that was a David Bowie song.
No, that is a John Lennon song.
Oh, sorry.
It's all
My
right.
bad.
It's all right. No, there's a great scene where one of the times BB returns and they're in a diner, and Timothy Chalamet, young Wonka, if you will, tries out some Robert De Niro acting, which I thought was very funny. Did you ever see them talking about?
Yeah.
Where he starts like closing his eyes, squinting his eyes a lot, and like making his mouth real long.
Is it the one where he's
like,
asking his dad for the money?
Yes, it is.
Like, just dad, I just need a bit of money, okay?
It's like, oh, Timothy Chalamet trying on some different acting styles in this, are we? I need to say, I know that he's a bit of like a wonder child for people. This is only the second Timothy Chalamet film I've ever seen.
I think this might be my first Timothy Chalamet film, you know?
I've seen Lady Bird.
Was he in Lady Bird?
He's the love interest, isn't he?
To be honest, I remember watching Lady Bird and everyone was raving about it for so long, and I watched it. I was like, no, this is not for me.
Did you not like Lady Bird?
I thought it was kind of boring. I think.
Well, that's Greta Gerwig. That's the kind of film she normally makes. Then she goes and makes Barbie.
Yeah, I might have to watch it again.
She is the CEO of filmmaking. I don't know where this term has come from.
You're going to get flogged for this CEO shit.
It's a positive term. I like it. It's nothing but positive, Lauren.
You wait till the women find out.
Oh God! Wait, women will listen to this. You didn't tell me that. I am 6 foot. I am 6'2". And I've got a huge attention span. I know. All the Aldi adverts for every Marvel film. just don't ask me your birthday. Yeah, we get the film again. BB disappears, does drugs, comes back, disappears, does drugs, comes back. We get to a bit where he starts doing. Says he's like 2 years clean of drugs when he goes to live with his mum, like you were saying, and he's got a sponsor.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was quite a while clean. But I've got here the middle of the film is far too happy and complete. Like they could have just finished it there, and like everything was all good and happy. But it just seemed a bit too happy, I think.
Yeah. Then he does some drugs again. Then he has some shower sex with his ex-girlfriend, and now becomes his current girlfriend again.
Yeah.
Steve argues with his ex-wife on the phone, then throws his phone into the bushes. And I was like, he's going to have to go looking for that at some point, but we'll never see that in the film. And the next
He's
shot,
crawling on the floor looking for his phone.
I was like, oh my God, that is like, the film gained a point in my eyes there. Then BB and his GF break into Steven's house whilst they're at a swim competition or whatever.
Yeah.
And he steals a PlayStation 2.
Is that what he steals? I was like, they're just looking for stuff to sell, I think, and then he...
Yeah. I know one of them, he was a Super Nintendo system. He did steal that.
That'd be worth quite a lot these days.
Yeah, you should. BB, don't sell that now. Wait 30 years, it'll be worth. Think of all the meth you can buy with it then.
Yeah, if you just wait, then you can smoke your meth to your heart's content.
We get a car chase, which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, with the stepmom.
Yeah, I just want to say, this film does something that I really, really, really appreciated. That stepmom is amazing. Like, she is not presented as a villain. She's not presented as like just a nasty lady. And normally step parents in films are presented that way traditionally.
Yeah. She's just presented as a partner to the dad.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
like a true partner. Like she's on his team, and she actually cares about him as her own child as well.
Yeah, I got the vibe that she cared more about him than his actual mum did.
Yeah, and I think that because he's lived with them for so long too. I think he's just literally, she's kind of like took him as her own, even though she's got 2 younger ones.
Yeah, beautiful boy's girlfriend then ODs, and BB manages to bring her back. Mm-hmm. BB calls Stevie for help. Stevie says no. Stevie gets sad for a bit. BB does some drugs.
In the coffee
and
shop.
Steve,
Is that in the coffee shop?
yeah.
Yeah. And then he ODs,
And then,
doesn't he? And then Stevie gets another phone call.
Yeah, and takes him to rehab again, and then the film ends with text, which is the worst way to end a film.
But how else are they going to tell you
Yeah.
what happened?
Yeah. This film is very much a tell over a show film. We have flown through Beautiful Boy, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, it's just because
It's repetitive and things what happens. I mean, the only other major point that I made is when he's at college, because what was he? I think it was he smoking meth before. Before he went to college or something.
He said he'd done meth once. He said, or twice,
or something. And it's like, I can't really get hold of that here. He wrote to somebody,
Yes.
And then he's like, so I got some heroin instead. I was like,
yes.
That escalated so fast.
On the like class of drugs, is heroin worse than meth? I thought meth.
Heroin's
was
like
the
worst that you can get. I think.
Oh, right.
Heroin's like, I think once you've had one, you're pretty much going to be addicted to it.
Well, amazingly, Lauren, at one point in the film stops so it can tell me what crystal meth does to you, so a doctor can just tell me, because the film couldn't show me this.
Well, I always wanted to know what crystal meth was going to do to my brain.
Apparently, it feels great, and then it turns all your nerve endings off.
Yeah.
I do want to take a step back here. Take a step back here and say that the repetitiveness of this film, that whilst it did annoy me, as you said at the start, Lauren, I do really want to hammer home that's probably what it is like trying to break out of being addicted to substances.
Yeah. I think definitely it's a cycle that once you've started, I think you can try and get better, but unless you work on yourself all the time, it's easily to fall back into that cycle of drugs again. Oh no, I need to. I've gone too far this time. Get better, and then you're just going around in circles, aren't you? Kind of thing.
Yeah, so maybe the film didn't have any like peaks or troughs because it is based on a true story, and that is what life is like.
Yeah.
It's just, I think the film would have benefited from losing an hour and a half. No.
This is just going to have just been a public service announcement in 20 minutes, all done.
No, the film would have benefited for being an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
Like every film, you can lose 10% of always.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even like that you can some people say films are never finished. You just run out of time to make them.
Yeah.
So if you take any finished film, you could probably lose 10% of it, and it'd still be just as good. Do you want to do some scores?
Okay.
Just let the listeners know at home, we're currently in the UK here at the moment, and we're getting a bit of a mini heat wave here. I don't know about your room, Lauren, but it's very hot in my room.
Oh, it's very hot in here. I mean, I have got the window open, so if you hear any cars flying by, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I live on a very active street, so I have to keep my window closed.
Well, we've got this robot air conditioning thing with a massive tube going out of the window, which isn't on. But I'm scared to pull the tube back in because there'd be loads of spiders or some stuff in it, so I'm leaving the window open.
Yeah, maybe some gremlins or some ghoulies.
Yeah, God knows what.
So the film, for me, got a 3.
Yeah, 3. Not so bad, not amazing, just middle ground. 3.
I'm going to throw you a huge curveball here now, Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
The acting for me got a 5.
Really?
Not for many of the main performances.
From who?
The stepmom was really good.
Stepmom, yeah.
BB's sponsor was a very good actor.
Oh, yeah.
The person that played young beautiful boy was an amazing actor.
Oh.
And the 2 kids playing the younger siblings of beautiful boy were also really, really good. And I
Yeah.
am always really, really impressed with child actors.
Yeah. No, the little brother of him was
Yes.
very, very good.
He was
Yeah.
and young, beautiful boy and little brother were like, their acting was the only thing that got me close to like being moved, like almost crying.
Oh. To be fair, Steve Carell, I was just like, I really felt for the dad in all
Yeah.
of that. I was like, because he was just trying to save his son and he just,
Yeah.
nothing was happening. I was like, I'm going to cry soon.
Yeah, so for me, it's a 5 for the acting. Just those kids' acting was so good, and it should always be appreciated because, like, it's hard to act when you're an adult and you kind of understand all the emotions. Must
Yeah.
be even harder to act when you are a child.
Yeah. I'll give it a 4, I think, because, Stevie did a good job,
Yeah.
I think.
The cinematography got a 3 for me again from that dinner table shot you were talking about. I thought was really good.
Yeah.
But I couldn't sing the praises about lots of the cinematography.
No, it was just kind of basic, locked off shots.
Mid shot,
wasn't it? It was just-
mid shot.
Yeah, 3 for me as well.
The editing got a 3.25 because whilst the film jumps around a lot in time, it is I never felt confused at any point by it,
Yeah, no, that's true.
and that's hard to do.
Yeah, it's very clear where you were and when you were in different timelines, even without being like 1990,
Yes.
1995.
Yeah,
It was very clear and it was like harmonious. It wasn't like a big
Yes.
clunky move from one
no.
time to the next.
Even if someone was flashbacking in the same room as the person who was in there, it was done so well, and I really wanted to appreciate that.
Yeah.
But all the other editing was just really boilerplate.
Right. I'll give it a 3, I think.
I give the sound a 2 because the needle drops were so loud it would have made James Gunn fucking blush.
Well, I watched it with my headphones on because Lee was watching some like football or something or whatever, and I actually thought the score
Yeah.
was really, really good.
Okay.
I felt like uncomfortable not from the sound being annoying, but the sound, like the feeling that the sounds was giving.
Yeah.
It made me feel uncomfortable. It just fit this sort of like addiction, this uncomfortable life that they were living. That sound really resonated with me, and I was really impressed with it because I've just put. I don't know if it was just from the headphones, or, but it was like tense and stressful, like in all of the scenes, especially with Timothée Chalamet. And I don't know if it was just because I was wearing my headphones. Yeah. I was going to say to you, maybe you should wear headphones. But I thought the sound was really good, so I'm going to give it a 4.5. Apart from the needle drops.
The only time I noticed the score was when he was singing Beautiful Boy, when they played Territorial Pissing, and when it became a crime drama for 3 minutes when he was reading that book. I mean, you know what? I'm going to give the sound a 3 because they used Territorial Pissing in a soundtrack.
I was just like, what? Excuse me?
The costume got a 2.5 from me.
Oh yeah, just generic.
Yeah.
Costume.
And again, it was meant to be set in the 90s, and I realised it was in the 90s, and then later on someone was wearing a very obviously 90s outfit.
Yeah, I think he was dressed quite emo-y though, I think, at one point. I was like,
yeah, I don't think...
That's like early 2000s.
And 90s fashion is something I can, again, as a 90s kid, like, it's something that I recognise instantly when I see it.
Are you reliving the fashion at the minute? Like when you walk down the street, do you feel ancient?
I feel ancient because I turned 30 a week ago.
Okay, me as a nearly 36-year-old, keep seeing young people wearing stuff that was fashionable when I was 10, and I am just like cringing inside.
I can't believe, I know it's kind of died down a lot now, I can't believe bucket hats came back.
Oh yeah, they were fashionable. It's the baggy cargo trousers for me.
Well,
I'm like,
everyone wants to
why
be
have
like
they come
Tony
back?
Stark. Everyone wants to be like Tony Stark.
If he had some cargo pockets on those trousers, he'd be like fashion king.
I can't. Yeah, it's wild. Oh yeah, so overall, by the way, the film for me got 19.75,
Oh.
making it our first non traditional score.
Oh, okay. I have got 20 for this film.
Wow. Do we need to do the total scores, don't we? Will you be able to do that?
Okay, so Iron Man 2 has 39.5.
Very nice.
And then, what did you just say?
19.75. I don't know whether I'm going to cut this down, Lauren, or I'm going to keep this bit. I always struggle to pick.
As soon as if my brain hears numbers and goes, I'm not listening to that. Sorry.
Yeah, I bet you don't remember any statistics they showed you in The Beautiful Boy, do you?
No, I don't. No.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh. Okay. Drum roll. Iron Man has a score of 39.5. Beautiful Boy has a score of 39.75.
Oh my God, Beautiful Boy won against all odds. Beautiful Boy won.
This is our second non-Marvel win.
Woohoo! Oh my God. Maybe the rest of cinema is better than the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Only by 2.25%.
Oh, fantastic. A different one tonight, folks, and thank you so much for sticking with us, and thank you so much for listening at all. If you have any questions for us, any complaints, or any especially any hate mail, please get that over to us on the Marvellous podcast at gmail.com.
Can't wait to read them.
Or Marvellous. I can't remember whether it's the Marvellous or just Marvellous podcast.
You made the email.
I know.
We'll put it in the description.
Yeah. I'd like to thank Luke for our music and our stingers. He's an absolute legend, and we love him so much. Friend
Thanks,
of the podcast. If you'd like to bully me on the internet, I am at Really Cool Films on basically every social platform. If you'd like to bully Lauren, leave her alone.
just send me to the email address. I'll read it.
Yeah, or send it to me, but make sure you make sure the insults
Start with this is for Lauren.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh. Again, guys, thank you so much. And this is the bit where the podcast ends. I'm also really muscly as well.
I've been going to the gym. I've got some guns going on.
Have you actually been going to the gym?
I've actually been going to the gym like 3 days a week.
Whoa, look at that. You're going to get ripped like our other friend.
What other friend?
I'm trying not to name...
Oh, he's not that ripped anymore.
Oh, that's some shade.
Well, no, I think he's given up that life. Because what he was doing was crazy. But
What, painting himself like
painting himself in a completely different colour. Like a teabag colour, weren't it? It was just terrible.
Oh, used teabag.
No.
I'm going to cut this bit where we slander people who no one who listens to the podcast will know who it is.